News on the Voice of the People, 90.3 FM. My name is Chioma Innocent, and here are the top stories. U.S. suspends immigration request for Afghans after National Guard shooting. Bandits abduct 24 farmers in fresh Niger attack. Police withdraw personnel assigned to Atiku, Wike, Aisha Buhari and 17 other VIPs. And former President Goodluck Jonathan safely out of Guinea-Bissau following military coup. Details now. Thank you for staying tuned. The World News at 6 begins with the United States suspending processing all immigration requests from Afghans after an Afghan man was identified as the suspect in the shooting of 2 National Guard soldiers near the White House. The U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services said the decision was made pending a review of security and vetting protocols. The suspect in Wednesday's shooting, which left 2 National Guard members critically injured, reportedly arrived in the U.S. from Afghanistan in September 2021. U.S. President Donald Trump said the attack was an act of terror, adding that he would take steps to remove foreigners from any country who do not belong in the U.S. Tens of thousands of Afghans entered the U.S. under special immigration protections following the chaotic U.S. withdrawal from the country in 2021 under former President Joe Biden. The Department of Homeland Security named the suspects in a press release as Ramanullah Lakanwal, whom they described as a criminal alien from Afghanistan. It said the suspect had entered the United States during the presidency of Joe Biden under a program for Afghans named Operation Allies Welcome. At the time, the Taliban had taken back control of Afghanistan following chaotic withdrawal of United States forces. Back home in Nigeria, bandits have launched another deadly attack in Palaita community, Erena Ward, Shiroro local government area of Niger State, abducting 24 people, including pregnant women from a rice farm. A source in the community said the attacker struck at about 2 p.m. on Wednesday while residents were harvesting their crops. Despite Palaita being only 5 kilometers from a military base in Erena, the bandits reportedly escaped with the victims before security personnel could respond. In a separate incident earlier that day, another group of armed men invaded the Kakuru community, also in Erena Ward, where they brutalized a blind resident and severed his right hand after taking a mobile phone from him. The Niger State Police Commander Public Relations Officer Wasiu Abiodun said efforts are being made to rescue the victims. The latest attack comes barely a week after gunmen abducted over 300 students and teachers from St. Mary's Catholic School in Papiri, Niger State last Friday. The incident occurred amidst a severe national security crisis in the last few days in some northern states, marked by frequent kidnappings for ransom. A distraught husband abducted alongside his wife in Aviele community near Auchi, Edo State, has issued a desperate plea for help as their captors reportedly threatened to sexually assault the woman unless the family meets their ransom demands. In a viral video today, the man, visibly shaking and covered in dirt, appealed to authorities and the public for urgent intervention. He revealed that the kidnappers are demanding a ransom of 50 million naira, an amount far beyond the reach of their struggling family. Civic technology platform Monit NG has raised the alarm over the abduction and the kidnappers' demands for 50 million naira as a ransom. The platform lamented that the growing wave of kidnappings has left communities across Edo State in fear, warning that Edo people can no longer sleep with both eyes closed. Monit NG further noted that rural communities and major routes have become unsafe as criminal elements, many operating from forest corridors, continue to terrorize residents. The group called on Edo State Governor Monday Okpebolo to deploy immediate security reinforcement and intensify operations within forest areas to flush out the gangs. President Bola Tinubu has called on herders to end open grazing, surrender all illegal weapons, and transition to ranching as part of a new national strategy to resolve the long-standing farmer-herder conflict. In a statement on Wednesday, the president said the federal government is prioritizing sustainable solutions to the violent confrontations between herders and farming communities, clashes that have fueled instability across several northern and central states. The admonition comes amid a surge in school kidnapping kidnappings in Niger, Kebbi, and other parts of the country in the past week, as well as ongoing farmer herder violence in the north central region that has left scores dead in recent months. He urged all herder associations to seize the opportunity, end open grazing, and surrender illegal weapons. The president also called on mosques and churches, especially in vulnerable areas, to coordinate with security agencies to ensure protection during prayers and gatherings, highlighting the creation of the Ministry of Livestock as a key part of the administration's long-term plan. President Tinubu urged herder associations to collaborate with the ministry, modernize livestock production, and embrace ranch-based operations. He noted that farmer-herder clashes have consistently fueled insecurity, from land dispute to deadly confrontations, particularly in the Middle Belt. The Nigerian Police Force Mobile Force 50 Squadron in Kubwa, Abuja, has issued urgent instructions for all personnel assigned to provide security for high-profile individuals to report back to base by 2 p.m. today. The directive specified that the order applies to officers assigned to 20 very important persons, VIPs, including former Vice President Atiku Abubakar and Namadi Sambo, Minister of the FCT Nyesom Wike, former First Lady Aisha Buhari, Chief Justice of Nigeria Justice Kudirat Kekerekun, and the Olu of Warri, His Royal Majesty Ogiame Atuwatse III. The announcement was signed by CSP Suleiman Abdullahi, Administrative Officer of the 50 PMF in Kubwa, Abuja. You recall that on Sunday, President Bola Tinubu had directed that police officers assigned to provide security for VIPs across the country be withdrawn from such duties and redeployed to focus on their core policing responsibilities. The presidential directive was issued during a security meeting on Sunday in Abuja, which brought together top officials including the Chief of Army Staff, Lieutenant General Y.D. Shaibu, the Chief of Air Staff, Air Marshal Sunday Kelvin Aneke, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kaude Egbetukun, and the Director General of the Department of State Services, DSS, Tosin Adeola Ajayi. Under the new arrangement, VIP seeking protection will now be required to request well-armed personnel from the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC). The move comes as part of President Tinubu's efforts to strengthen policing across the country, especially in remote areas where limited manpower has made it challenging for officers to protect and defend communities effectively. Meanwhile, the federal government confirmed today that former President Goodluck Jonathan is safe and has left Guinea-Bissau following the military coup that toppled the country's government. Spokesperson for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Kimiebi Ebienfa, made this known in an interview with journalists in Abuja. He explained that the former president left with a special flight with members of his delegation. Former President Jonathan, who led the West African Elders Forum Election Observation Mission, had been in the country monitoring last Sunday's presidential and legislative elections before the military announced it had seized power. In a joint statement on Wednesday, Felipe Nyusi, former president of Mozambique and head of the African Union Election Observation Mission, Isifu Kamara, head of the Economic Community of West African State Election Observation Mission, and former President Jonathan condemned the coup, describing it as a direct attempt to disrupt Guinea-Bissau democratic process. They appealed for calm among residents and reaffirmed their commitment to supporting Guinea-Bissau during the sensitive period, stressing the importance of preserving peace, stability, and the well-being of the people. Also, Nigeria's federal government has condemned the coup in strong terms, warning that they represent a serious threat to democracy and regional stability. You're currently listening to the World News at 6 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. We'll take a very short break and return with more news and the news analysis segment. To stay tuned. Welcome back. You're still listening to the World News at 6 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. Fresh revelations from the Senate Ad Hoc Committee investigating crude oil theft in the Niger Delta have sparked outrage after the panel reported that about 300 billion naira in domestic crude proceeds and over $200 billion in global crude oil sales are unaccounted for. This is in its interim report submitted to the Senate. The committee detailed massive discrepancies, weak oversight, and systemic lapses that have allegedly enabled the large-scale diversion of Nigeria's crude oil revenue over the years. The report followed months of forensic document reviews, written submissions, and public hearings involving key players in the oil and financial sectors. According to the report, a forensic review of records on domestic crude proceeds and tax oil proceeds revealed sale differentials, mismatches, and unaccounted funds amounting to about $22 billion. The committee further uncovered a shortfall of $81 billion between crude receipts declared by the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) and those recorded by the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) for 2016 and 2017. It added that its review of crude oil sales from 2015 to date, supported by investigations from international consultants, projected that over $200 billion proceeds from crude oil sales remained unaccounted for globally. The ad hoc committee traced the problem to faulty measurement systems, weak regulatory oversight, and poor coordination among government agencies in the oil value chain. It identified the use of unverified measuring instrument, lack of metrological control, ineffective interagency collaboration, and uncoordinated enforcement mechanisms as major enablers of crude oil theft and revenue leakages. The panel specifically faulted the suspension of the Weights and Measures Department activities in the upstream sector under the Petroleum Industry Act PIA 2021, describing the decision as one that undermined accountability and accurate measurement in crude oil operations. Meanwhile, in a tragic development, former governor of Anambra State, Chris Ngige's convoy was attacked today on the Nkpo-Nobi Road in Idemili North local government area. According to a statement by Ngige's former media aide, Sir Fred Chukwuelobe, the former governor was not in the convoy at the time of the attack. However, a policeman in the pilot car was shot and his gun and uniform were taken by the suspected assailant, who were reportedly dressed in police and army uniforms. Tragically, a woman recording the incident on her phone was fatally shot by the gunman. A shop owner who ran to the scene to investigate was also shot. He lost a significant amount of blood, but is expected to undergo surgery soon to remove the bullet. He is reportedly in stable condition and is expected to make a full recovery. The pilot car was riddled with bullets. No police officers were killed. The escort leader who was shot has already undergone surgery and is expected to recover fully. The shop owner was fortunate as none of the bullets lodged in his spine. Chukwuelobe noted that he spoke with Dr. Chris Ngige, who confirmed the attack and ensured that all necessary measures are being taken to ensure adequate medical care for the injured. He also extended condolences to the family of the woman who was killed while recording the attack. The Anambra State Police are yet to release an official statement on the incident. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police IGP Kayode Egbetokun has disclosed that the ongoing withdrawal of police officers from very important persons VIPs protection details is a tactical and nationwide manpower rediscovery intended to reinforce frontline policing, reclaim highways, and protect vulnerable communities battered by banditry. Speaking at a senior police commanders meeting in Abuja, IGP Egbetokun insisted the shake-up was a cold realignment, not sentiment, powered by the urgent need to shift manpower to Nigeria's most volatile rural and township corridors, where kidnappers have recently dictated movement and instilled panic. He noted that in line with the president's directive Directive, a total of 11,566 personnel from VIP protection have been withdrawn. Egbetoku noted that the officers were redeployed with immediate effect. He noted that the withdrawal is not a retreat from responsibility but a reclamation. The IGP also explained that redeployment was designed to expand police presence on rural roads, township perimeters, motor parks, markets and community travel corridors, highlighting the need for intensified patrols and rapid response structures before criminals strike again. The IGP further revealed that the decision was influenced by the recent wave of abduction linking Kwara, Kebbi and Niger State incidents that, although met with swift responses, exposed manpower constraint and left citizens asking whether the police still dominate the roads. With the Utah travel rush looming, he mandated that every state command must activate enhanced festive deployment, ordering commands to decisively occupy national highways and community exit and entry points. Well, now joining me to discuss these and other issues on the World News at 6 this evening, I have via the telephone Mr. Awa Omiko of the Sunday editorial desk. Good evening to you, Mr. Awa Omiko. Can you hear me? Hello, Mr. Awa Omiko. Are you there? Welcome to the World News at 6. Can you hear me, Mr. Awa Omiko? All right, then. We're supposed to be speaking with Mr. Awa Omiko. Mr. Awa, can you hear me? Good evening to you and welcome to the World News at 6.
Good evening. I can hear you.
Thank you very much. I can also hear you. Let's actually get right into the conversation. The president has declared that herdsmen all over the country should surrender their guns and stop open grazing and instead opt for ranching to actually curb the menace of insecurity across the country. But they've termed this as to stop farmer-herder clashes. And of course, in the directive, we also see that the presidency is talking about how it is this that has caused the abduction in Kebbi and Niger State. How is it that up till now, with how serious we've seen that these terrorists are, these situations are still being branded as farmer-herder clashes? And also, if they surrender their guns and stop open grazing and opt instead for ranching, would it solve the issue of insecurity in the country?
Well, it's just a foul cry. But the issue is that it will go nowhere to stopping insecurity, because our security apparatus has been sabotaged. That is completely. And if really all this, let's begin to check our borders. What happened to our borders? What happened to the security men at the borders? Why must our border up to down be so porous that to get our passport or to enter the country is just as easy as entering any market? It's uncalled for. If you are serious, let us fight insecurity in all those places. Look at what happened in River State. Those Fulanis, they don't look Nigerian. The people killed there. They very looking Nigerian. These were mercenaries imported into the country to do mayhem to the people. And until we stop doing all that, that is when we get it right. Our security apparatus has been sabotaged. There is no two ways about it. And the people involved are still there, still doing their things as if it's a tea party. Until you get them arrested, get them tried, and if possible, killed. Because what they are doing is nothing else than killing people, minding people and destroying the economy. Until we stand on our feet to actually do the needful, this stop carrying rifle and this will be just a mere sentence. It will just be rhetoric. If they don't carry weapon, how will they be able to face these militants that are having sophisticated weapons to fight them, to kill them? If in a situation where you have your weapon, I have my weapon, we can always judge up. But in a situation where one party has his weapon and the other one does not have, What does that mean?
You know, the situation actually, Mr. Awa Omiko, is more of that the president wants these herdsmen to drop their arms, right? It's not about arming farmers, because the farmers have even said they do not need weapons. The only reason why the farmers would need weapons in the first place. Mr. Awa, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
The only reason why the farmers would need weapons in the first place would be to protect themselves from these herders. So the question is, if these herders are disarmed, although there's a video making the rounds on social media where a Fulani herder came out to say that herdsmen do not carry guns. The only thing they carry are sticks and cutlasses, right? That any herdsman who you see carrying a gun, carrying an AK-47, is a terrorist and not a herdsman. But a number of times we've been told that, oh, they carry these weapons in order to protect themselves from attacks by people who may want to steal from them, maybe kill them and take their cattle. But do you think this is not the first time we're talking about ranching? Do you think that this time around they will actually embrace it, that their leaders in the north would actually embrace this ranching? Right now the question is not whether or not they are Nigerians, because they have made their way into Nigeria, they've infiltrated the country. How do we ensure that they are disarmed?
I can't when I look at our politicians, the illiteracy of the people. Wherever there is ranching, we get better cows, better cattle. But here, we don't want to move around. Let them go back. Let them have a ranch. If you let them be put in the ranch. Let that be a law that cows should not roam the streets. Once there's a ranch, all these things will stop. It will help reduce. It will minimize it, but it will not stop it. Because insecurity, kidnapping and banditry has been seen as a business. But once they are at a ranch, the occurrence becomes minimal, and people will be the Fulani herdsmen will be easier to check. So if this is the right time, the northern elements, the northern elites, or those that are speaking for them, should embrace ranching. We shouldn't be mixing economic issues with political affairs. Ranching should be the answer now to actually make sure that the people go back there. In fact, people even accuse them that they use the cow to transfer weapons, to transport weapons from the north down. And if you go to the east, you see that all those cows in the farm there destroying the crop there. The cows, the herdsmen carry AK-47. They garnish it. So we don't see them as a terrorist. We don't see them as a terrorist, but as a bandit. And anything, as a herdsman. And anything you do, they fire. So until we revisit our laws, let the governors be strong. Let them dust the constitution and read it through. There are executive governors. There are certain laws that you can make to prevent those weapons from being those herders from moving up and down with weapons. But here for politics and votes, they wouldn't say anything. Until we stand on our feet, I keep on saying it, there will be no changes. Thank you.
All right. You know, while we're talking about this situation, the president has directed that more people should be recruited into our security. More personnel should be recruited into the police, into the military, and other security institutions that we have in the country. Do you think this will actually curb insecurity, or are we sending more people to their quick ends?
Well, that is book knowledge. So after all, we are reducing the number. Let us bring in more people. That is a book knowledge. But the real thing, have we treated the crisis in the military? Those young ones, how do you transfer them? How do you pick them? You recruit them, you train them. After training them, you put them to an area where they don't know, and within 3 days of entry, within few years of, in fact, some people within a year or 6 months of entering the army, they no longer exist. The government through its policy unlike them, which is not, and this will make the military. This will discourage people from entering the military. Until we revisit our sense of nationhood, our patriotism, in fact, we will get nowhere. And I will advise them to go and read the book, The Prince. the prince and his military. If you don't equip your military properly, don't equip your military and your security architecture, countries weaker than you are will outrun you and take over, and which is part of the thing US is trying to do gradually, and which is part of the thing Niger is trying to do gradually. But you could remember in those days that once upon a time in this country, when there was an attack, but I think from the eastern flank of the country, known as the Gende, and you see what Nigerians did to them. If such measures should be applied in the north, I don't think this Boko Haram could even be infiltrating our country, entering our country as if they're entering the market. Until we do the right thing, nothing seems to. In fact, recruiting people won't be the answer. You will see people running away because we have not dealt properly with those in service. How do you handle them? How have you been able, those that are even killed, how have you been able to take care of their families? And this is one of the reasons why people are running away from the military. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Awa Omiko, still talking about this issue. The police has withdrawn some personnel assigned to 20 very important persons in Abuja. Of course, we know the president had directed that the police personnel should be withdrawn and put into better use. And the VIPs have been told if they need security protection, they should ask from the NSCDC. After all, they are also a security institution in the country. Personnel like Atiku Abubakar, former First Lady Aisha Buhari, even FCT Minister Nyesom Wike and others, even the Olu of Warri, even the Chief Justice of Nigeria, all of them, their police operatives, the police personnel, their escorts have been withdrawn. They've been told, if you need security, ask the NSCDC. The IGP is telling us that over 11,500 policemen have been recalled from VIPs. Look at the number of our police personnel that were attached to a few people as against policing the affairs of the average Nigerian. Just like I asked yesterday, does it mean the average Nigerian is not a very important person to the president, to the federal government, to the politicians who seek their votes when it is time for elections?
You see, that's 11,000. That is more than the police of Togo, more than the police of Ghana, more than the police of Gambia, Sierra Leone, more than the police of 2, 3, 4 countries put together. That is what our VIPs are keeping. And yet the police force, we're tolerating them. It is high time, if I don't recall, what is their sense of security now? Can they go back to check crime? Because they have been overfed, eating bread and omelette. They've been overfed. They should go back to training school and be equipped to handle crime and be equipped of the situations on ground. And how some of them, I'm sure, if you give them AK-47, it is possible they may not even be able to operate it. Because they are now, for over 10 years, they are used to carry madam's bag and umbrella for Oga. So they are forgotten how to operate the AK-47. So they need to be recalled and sent to training school with the team. And if the so-called VIP I need, just like government has said, they go to the right people to apply. And besides, what is wrong with neighborhood guards? They too can be put to good use. They can guide the VIPs. If they are well trained, they can guide the VIPs. After some of them are military retirees. That is one. And secondly, this is a very serious time that people should be thinking of security. So everybody should put their hands on deck. And this is the right time to approve state security. Let us call to mind state security.
Mr. Awa, we're actually getting closer to the creation of state police due to these incidences of insecurity. But despite all of these directives, would you say the federal government is being proactive, or this is still being treated with kid gloves? We're seeing a situation whereby a young man approached 2 National Guards yesterday and shot them in the United States, injuring them critically. Right now, the United States has suspended immigration requests from anybody from Afghanistan. They don't want to see anybody from that country entering into their country because of the actions of one person.
That is exactly what I'm telling you. If the border is porous, just like AIDS came to Nigeria through one person, and it spread. You can even see what happened. And even COVID did the same thing through one person, and it spread like a bonfire. Once the border is porous, you will see all manners of people come in. They will come in and carry out their harm, do their evil, and go away. But the very moment we start our security from the border, let's watch those borders. Let's tighten it. Then we can within ourselves check crime inwards. There's no two ways about it. Nigeria is too big. Nigeria is big, and it's like even our size is even troubling us. Nigeria is big to the extent that we need a state police. Look at small Britain, that is not as big as Niger State or even Kaduna State, having levels of police. They call one of the levels is called as look at the Britain. So such a thing should be brought to Nigeria. We need not to go there to read. We should be able to copy the good side of that country. By the time we begin to have our own state, even local government police, you will see that crime, we will be able to check crime to its minimal level. But according to David John Boone, he said man is born evil, but trying to do good. But that evil he is born in can be corrected if it is properly checked on time. So we need not to start saying this or that. What government has done is good, but it's just waking up too late. And but if we can enforce it to the letters, all these their laws to the letters, they'll be able to cover some ground.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Awa Omiko, for joining me on the World News at 6 this evening. I do appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, and enjoy the rest of your day. You have been listening to the World News at 6 right here on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. Just before we wrap up, let's take a look at the top stories again. You heard that the United States has suspended immigration request for Afghans after National Guard shooting. Bandits abduct 24 farmers in fresh Niger attacks. Police withdraw personnel assigned to Atiku, Wike, Aisha Buhari, and 17 other VIPs. Former President Goodluck Jonathan safely out of Guinea-Bissau amid military coup. And that is a wrap on the World News at 6. My name is Chioma Innocent. Good evening and thank you for listening. Do stay tuned. The Evening Rush will be coming up at 7 p.m.